When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
What's going on, Boise State fans? We got record attendance already, Johnny. We record comments. We haven't even said a word yet. John Mallory, 95.3, The Ticket, KTIK. You hear him, you love him. Monday through Friday, 3 to 6, and you heard him on the post-game show last night, which I'm sure was an incredible listen. Can't wait to hear that on the podcast feed, but my name is BJ Rains. Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. I am fresh off a Southwest Airlines flight coming back from the game last night at Research Stadium in Corvallis, and Johnny, it's just a shame we have nothing to talk about, man.
It's crazy, huh? I mean, wow. Never would I have imagined these talking points we're going to discuss are going to be the main talking points, not only for this week, but maybe this season. And it hit us like a ton of bricks in the media. Maybe it did for some fans as well. And the most diehard Bronco Nation fans out there, I just don't think anybody was A, expecting that type of score, but B, expecting that type of output or lack of production, and just the way they looked, the way it felt. They looked tired from kickoff. There just wasn't any, I don't know, man. There wasn't a lot of energy, I thought, and enthusiasm flying around, but maybe that's tough to do when you're turning the ball over on all these possessions and you're behind early. But yeah, man, what a crazy storyline the 2022 Bronco football season has turned into. And I know the fans, they want to know what the future is of their football program. And they're scared and they're nervous, and they should be, because it's not the way it used to look, and it's not even close.
Well, we're broadcasting from the Cutwater Canned Cocktail Studios. Make sure you pick up a Cutwater Canned Cocktail, one of their pre-made cocktails, your local grocery store, gas station, and we appreciate them for sponsoring us here at Bronco Nation News. And Johnny was there at Research Stadium last night, man, and like I said, we got over 100 people already checking in live here on a Sunday night to check this thing out, man. And we're going to hear from, by the way, we're going to hear from Andy Avalos. We got his, sound and the video that I took last night to come in. We got some highlights as well from the game and from Taylin Green, but I'll just get right to it, man. I got a column that I just posted at BroncoNationNews.com, and I say that I think Hank Bachmeier deserves another start. I think Hank Bachmeier got a raw deal. I think pulling him early in the second quarter was a panic move from head coach Andy Avalos. I get it. You wanted to win the game. You did what you had to do. It wasn't looking good. I get it. And I know Hank Bachmeier is, struggling early in the game, and I get it. Taylin Green's your quarterback of the future. You thought with his legs he could do some things and mix it up. But for me, I didn't like it, man. I did not like that early in the first game of the, second quarter. It just seemed like a panic move to me to go to Taylin Green there, and I get it. That's fine. You did it. You tried to win the game. But for me, Hank Bachmeier needs to start Friday night at New Mexico if you want to win the Mountain West. How do you respond to that?
I got a few things. Can you beat New Mexico with Hank Bachmeier as your starting quarterback? Yeah, you can. And I would put money on that. Yeah, you can. The spread I saw was like 14 points. Sure, you're going to win that game. I get it all the way there, BJ. And just to back up a little bit, very rarely in football at any level will you see a quarterback be QB1 from essentially spring ball. No competition, No, hey, he's got to beat somebody out this year. There was none of that chatter. Maybe it went on in the building, but it didn't go on around the building, that's for sure. Hank was going to be the guy, period, end of story. And then halfway through the second quarter, to press the abort button, abandon ship, abort, get out of here. You don't see that very often because that's a huge move. Not just because Hank wasn't playing well, but Taylin Green and what everybody talks and knows about him just kind of waiting in the wing. And I kind of felt like if you were ever going to make that move and go to TG, then it's TG time. And that's going to be an organizational decision you're moving in that direction towards. But really weird deal, BJ, pulling the plug essentially on a quarterback who had no inclination whatsoever that he was even in competition with anybody, I guess. He should have. It's always competition. You know what I mean by that. But it's crazy you see that move done. And I'll be honest, I'll play devil's advocate here. Hank Bachmeier, going back to the 2020 Mountain West Championship game, is 7-7 in his last 14 starts. He was 7-5 last year. He's 0-1 this year, and he lost the Mountain West Championship game against San Jose State. That's back to Harsin. He's 7-7. He's been a 500 quarterback for more than a year. BJ, I don't know what it is you still expect to see from Hank Bachmeier. I think we are now in what you've seen is probably what you're going to get. Now, he's not going to have a game you would think as poorly as he had in Corvallis. He'll have games like he's had, which are solid games, good enough to get the team to win, but never anything mega spectacular. Never, ever, ever a 74-yard touchdown run that I'm guessing only a handful of quarterbacks in this country can make. Seriously, I'll use a Men in Black reference. That's like tracking down a cephalopoid on foot. Nobody does that. Only a couple dudes in the country have that. So he showed me enough to say, okay, we might be onto something here. Now, do we have to sacrifice this year because there's going to be massive bumps in the road for a freshman starting a quarterback? Then maybe. Or you stick with the status quo. Like you said, you go back to Hank on Friday. You take care of New Mexico. You kick the crap out of UTEP. You blow the shit out of UT Martin. And you're on your way, and maybe you can fix things by then. But right now, man, Hank has given me, and I love the kid, he's given me no other inclination to think that he's a 500-level quarterback. He's 7-7 in his last 14.
Yeah, and Andy Avalos now 7-6 as head coach at Boise State, if you want to have fun with numbers that way. And yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but for me, and again, folks can read my full story at BroncoNationNews.com, but I just think, you don't go 8 months, you don't go 12 games last year. He starts every game, 8 months in the offseason. He's your guy. And then the second quarter of the first game of the season. Nope, that's it. He's gone. I thought maybe one series, Johnny. Give one series to Taylin Green. Let Hank Bachmeier take a breather. Let him get on the sidelines. Okay, dude, it's a long game. There's a lot of game left. Let him have a series. And the first series, Boise State had to punt. So it wasn't like Taylin Green came right in and dominated. He got one first down on a run, and Boise State had to punt. It would have been a perfect scenario. Put Hank Bachmeier right back in the game. But no, they pretty much decided we're going the rest of the game with Taylin Green, when there was 10 minutes left in the second quarter. It just, to me, seemed like a panic move, and I didn't like it. I did not like it one bit. I know most of the fans did like it, and that's fine. If I want to be, I'm the guy that everybody dislikes at this point. You make a lot of points with what you're saying in terms of the numbers and what is Hank Bachmeier at this point, and I get it. But for a 4-year senior starter, all we heard all of fall camp, all summer, all spring, Johnny, the second quarter of the first game, like this wasn't some quarterback competition. Like if this was Green versus Vidlac or something, and they made a change, six series into the season and went from Vidlac to Green, that's one thing. But there was no competition. Like he was your clear, obvious starting quarterback the entire offseason, and all of a sudden,
your leader, and a team leader, and a major team leader. Yeah,
and I called it a panic move. I said it to our friend Jordan Kay up in the press box, who was sitting next to me from the Idaho Press. Colin Mitchell from Bronco Nation News was there, the other media guys, and I was like, what? First I saw, here's how it went down, Johnny. First I saw Taylin Green start playing catch, and he was wearing a headset still. He's wearing the headset, just kind of getting loose. I'm like, he's wearing a headset. It's probably nothing. But you know what? I wanted to stoke the fire a little bit on Twitter. So I said, even though he's wearing a headset, Taylin Green is warming up on the sidelines. And that got everybody retweeting it and getting excited. Then I'm watching, and he goes over and grabs his helmet, and he puts his helmet on. He's fixing the chin strap, and he takes it off again. He's holding it next to him. And so I said, okay. So I go over and I said, hey, Taylin Green has a helmet in his hand. And everybody at this point, Stephen Jordan was like, get out of here. And you keep watching, and then sure enough, I see John Ojukwu and some of these guys coming over on the kickoff, like giving him words of encouragement and getting in his face. And I was like, I think Taylin Green's going in this game. And I look over and I'm trying to find Hank, and I look down, and there's 19 with a headset on and a ball cap. And I said, oh my gosh, there's 9:30 left in the second quarter of the opening game of the season. It's only 17-0, and they're making the switch. I was stunned, and I'll say this. I give Andy Avalos credit. It was a ballsy move. Whether it was good or bad, you can say what you want. I disagree with it, but I get him credit. That took a heck of a move to go all off season, and then in the second quarter, go ahead and say, you know what, that's it. And I do wonder how much was this with Avalos, how much was this with Tim Plow, right? I think there was, there's obviously a give and take there. But for me, I was stunned. And I'll just be honest, I didn't agree with it. I think Taylin, I know you're a big Taylin Green guy, and I like Taylin Green. We saw the 74-yard run. We saw what he can do on some other plays where, hey, the play breaks down, he takes off, and he gets 5 yards instead of losing 1 on a sack. Yes, Taylin Green is the quarterback of the future. I get it. But for the 2022 Boise State football team, right now, I feel like Hank Bachmeier has got to be the starting quarterback for this team, man. And I think that Friday night at New Mexico, Hank Bachmeier needs to be under center for that first series. Am I crazy?
I think that's a great opportunity to give back to Hank, to get his whereabouts and get this program, this team, this offense on track and kick the crap out of the Lobos, you would think. But I also think it's a great opportunity to start Taylin Green on the road, half-empty stadium in Albuquerque against a crappy Lobo defense, and let him loose and let him get comfortable in that game. Then you start Taylin Green against UTEP. He looks even better then. I'm sorry. You come back for the home opener. I can see it, though, what you're saying, but this to me seems like a good opportunity to start Green, too. And another thing, gosh, this was the year, man. This was the year that Hank Bachmeier was going to shut everybody up and say, I've had multiple coordinators, multiple head coaches, multiple injuries. I've never really had things the way I should. And this year, everything's different. That was the bill of goods the media was sold this offseason. We're ready to go. We love this team. We're lights out at all these positions. We're going to kick some ass, Seabass. We like this squad. And Hank had every opportunity to shut up all these people. And what does he do? He comes out and he has the worst quarter of his career. And it's tough because we're all human beings, man. That must have been, it's humiliating for Hank. And it sucks. And I was watching the TV copy, and they kept showing him. And you see him with the headset on, and he's putting his best teammate face on because that's who he is. He's a mature guy. And you could just tell inside he was just heartbroken. All the thoughts racing through his head. Am I ever going to get to play here again? What's going on? You really feel for these kids in these situations. But this is big boy football. And Andy Avalos, he needs to win games. He's 7-6. I think that decision was 100% him. Maybe we'll learn different tomorrow in the press conferences. But I think Andy Avalos told Tim Plow, get Green in. I'm not doing this anymore. He's not there right now. We need to save this game if we could. And, drastic decision, totally unfair. He probably panicked on it because he was pissed off. But I think in doing that, man, you started a quarterback controversy in this town. Are people going to boo the team at UT Martin if Hank comes out with the offense? Has it gotten that bad for that poor kid? What's going to happen? Because, they won't.
No, come on. See, this is Johnny Ball Game, Sports Talk. Like when you saw this happen, I'm sure you and Pred were like, ha, 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 we got our week covered. I mean, Sports Talk Radio, right? I mean, is this perfect for you guys? The quarterback controversy.
It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't hurt.
And we've got record viewership. I've been doing this
this town. Don't you feel though the town wants Taylin? Don't you really feel that? Like I think if you put a poll up right now, Green or Hank, I think it's going to be in the 80 percentile Green right now. And
that high? That high?
Yeah, I would imagine so. And that has nothing to do with Andy's decision. He's going to do what's best for the football team. And maybe it is. If you need a win, a guaranteed win, New Mexico, maybe Hank's your best option. He's 7-7 in his last 14 starts. Maybe he's still a better option than Taylin Green, who would be making his first start. Maybe you play them both, which never seems to work, but it sometimes makes two people happy. I don't know what Andy's going to do. This team is at a crossroads right now, BJ, this early in the season, and they need to find a way to dig themselves out, whether that's Hank playing better and winning a Mountain West championship or Taylin Green starting a new era and getting a little bit better every week and ready to hopefully take this team at one point back to conference championships, New Year's Six type of level. But they're so far away from that right now. Even talking Mountain West championship right now, BJ, I think is grossly immature.
Well, we got a lot of comments that we want to get to. As you can imagine here, Johnny, I've been doing Bronco Nation News Live for about 7 months, and we literally might have the highest viewership right now, Johnny, I've ever had. Any basketball postgame, any basketball pregame, any Johnny Prater weekly segment. Last night at 2 a.m, we had good viewership, but the numbers we're getting right now might be the highest we've ever had, and that just kind of tells you about the hot or cold kind of polarizing decision here, Hank Bachmeier or Taylin Green. Let's get to some of the comments here, and we are going to hear from Andy Avalos. I want to play that. I want to show some highlights of Taylin Green as well, but Double O'Neill says, I love Boise State. I love Hank Bachmeier. He had his chance, but it's time to say goodbye. Put Green in his opinion. James McDonald. So who else forgot New Mexico's DC is Rocky freaking Long. Yay. So I guess he's a little nervous about Friday's game going against Rocky Long. Rudy says, I hate to say it, Hank has the look of a shot boxer. Think the hits he's taken over the years have taken their toll. You don't see that in one quarter, Johnny. You go spring practice, you go summer workouts, you go fall camp. Like, he had a rough start. I get it. It was a really, really, really horrible, crappy, shitty start. Like, I get it. But for me, I don't think 25 starts coming into that. I don't think 4 years as a starter coming into that. You know Hank Bachmeier pretty well. And I know for the fans, like, they're pretty rational. And they're like, oh, let's go to Green, like, as soon as you get the first interception. But to me, you've seen the body of work of Hank Bachmeier. And was it a horrible start? Yes. But, like, I think Hank could have got out of it. I think he deserved more time in that game to try to work out of it. The third, fumble was somebody pushing the O-lineman right into him. That wasn't exactly his fault.
You still got to protect that, though, BJ. Quarterback, you have to tuck that. You have to protect that. You can't lose the ball on your own goal line every time the line gets pushed back. And Hank should know better because his line's been getting pushed back into his ass his whole career because they still haven't fixed that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's on Hank. It's not on the line. You got to tuck that.
At some point, though, we need to talk George Tarlis. Where was he at in that game last night?
Did he play? Did he play?
He played. I think he had. I didn't see him in the stat sheet, but he played.
0 tackles.
0 tackles for the guy that led the team in fall camp in sacks and was a big part of it. Ashton Genty had some decent numbers, but again, a huge fumble near the goal line when that should have probably been George Solani's carry at that point. So I guess the point is it was not just Hank Bachmeier's 3 turnovers, but those were 3 huge turnovers in the first 6 series of the game. Jordan says trust the process with Cutter involved. Coach Pete not far removed. Andy and Tim should have plenty of assistance this week on the QB decision. Double O'Neill says I don't know for sure, but it did look like something was wrong. I don't think anything's wrong with Hank Bachmeier. Somebody mentioned he just still seemed to step slow from last year's injuries and all that. I don't get that. Rudy trusts the coaches, make the right decision, not worry about optics. Double O'Neill, the Broncos Saturday could definitely use some Coach Peterson infusion. Coach Peterson's not part of the team.
No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, guys. Coach Pete is not going to bail you out of this thing. And I love Coach Pete, But he's not going to whisper something into Tim Plow's ear, and then all of a sudden Tim Plow's going to turn into this genius coordinator.
And let's be honest, it's probably the same for Dirk Cutter too, right? It's not, everyone assumed Dirk Cutter was going to come in. It was basically going to be Dirk Cutter, secretly running the offense with Tim Plow as the OC. Like, that's not the case, right?
No, Dirk's at least on the payroll. And I don't know what Dirk's future is with the team. I'm imagining it is what it is right now. But, I mean, maybe there does become a situation where Andy Avalos needs to, call Coach Cutter into his office and say, I need you to take over this offense. This program is on the line. This program needs you, Dirk. You need to come and play and make play calls, because we can get to the Tim Plow situation a little later, but that's got to be a really difficult deal for Andy right now, because here we are into year 2 and the offense has no rhyme, no reason, no rhythm, no consistency, and it's been that way. And I thought maybe a spring ball and another fall camp would fix some of that, and it looks like they've gotten worse. So I don't know what the future with Tim Plow is. He speaks tomorrow at 1:45. I can't wait to ask him some questions on that. And but it's a tough time right now for Hank, for Coach Plow, and maybe Coach Plow in the offense is the issue. As long as that's still the case, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is going to be for an offense to find that rhythm. I thought Taylin felt comfortable last night. I was actually really impressed. I thought he played with a level of comfort that I don't think you see a lot of kids that age at that position play with. BJ, I ask you, did Taylin show you enough last night to move forward with him? Regardless of Hank's feelings and Andy's rash decision to pull the plug on it, did Taylin show you enough next week? If he starts on Friday night, you'll feel good about this offense and the chances they'll get a win?
I might feel good about it, but I still think Hank deserves it. So I guess no. I mean, to go around the other way, I think Hank Bachmeier deserves to start on Friday night, and I'm probably one of the few people in this town saying that right now, and that's fine. But no, I think Hank Bachmeier deserves it. I mean, let's be honest. Taylin Green had a couple nice runs. His 36-yard pass to Ashton Genty was, hugely underthrown. It took Ashton Genty coming back to make a great catch while he was getting pulled down to make the catch there. There were a few other passes that were very inaccurate. Taylin Green is a heck of an athlete, is obviously a great runner, but I think there's still a lot to be desired from him in terms of passing the football, Johnny. I still think Taylin Green as a passer has a ways to go. And there was never a Taylin Green versus Hank Bachmeier competition. It was Taylin Green versus Sam Vidlak. So I just don't know how all of a sudden it took a quarter and a half for Taylin Green to pass Hank Bachmeier on the quarterback depth chart. I just don't get it.
I get it.
I just don't get it. I think now again, I'm not saying it should be Hank Bachmeier's team for 12 games this season. I think he deserves to start against New Mexico. And if he goes out and has another horrible start, 3 turnovers in 6 quarters or whatever, or 6 possessions, then yeah, get him out of there and go to Taylin Green. But I just think it was too early to pull him. If you did pull him, you want to you're trying to win the game. I get it. You were trying to win the game. You want to let him take a breather. That's fine. But Johnny, if you don't start Hank Bachmeier on Friday, you're not starting Hank Bachmeier the rest of the season. Right?
Nope, you're not. Nope, you're moving forward with a new era and a new quarterback in his freshman year, and you're going to try to hit the ground running and maybe sacrifice a win or 2 or 3 in the process, knowing that you can get Taylin Green that much better for when he probably is the week 1 starter next year. Now, BJ, with the running game, as disgusting as it is, okay, and give the offensive line a little bit of credit for their pass pro. They were certainly better at pass protection than they were run blocking, BJ. And this was the problem last year, too. I know they fixed it at the end of the year when their schedule got a little easier. I get that. But I think Taylin Green helps this team in the running game because he will have designed runs. He will take off. He will keep the defense much more honest in the run game. And I think that might open stuff up for Helani or Genty because Taylin Green can beat you on foot. I mean, heck, Taylin Green might end up being the leading rusher on this team this season. What were the odds of that before the year? And I got one more thing. I thought the biggest turning point in the game was putting Ashton Genty in for goal line work as a true freshman in his first game. Boise State had a chance to get back in it at that point. I think that was coming off the Skinner pick, if I remember correctly. They were down there, and Andy said at the presser, I saw on BNN, he said KB, Keith Bonifaz, thought he needed a rest. And I've always said, like, the goal line carries, why are they not the most important carries? Why does everybody need this goal line back and you got to get Helani rest? For me, the goal line carries are the most important carries of the game. You have to punch the ball in right there. Give it to your best guy. Of course the kid fumbled. Bless his heart. He's a freshman. That's what puppies do. Puppies wet the carpet. It's going to happen. I could not believe. Good for KB having trust in Genty to put him in that situation, but it hurt the team. That's George's carry. Those are the most important carries of the game. And I thought at that point, uh-oh. To me, that might have been the biggest malfunction of the game for me, is not having George have that carry. When the coaches told us a week ago, George never coming out, ever, BJ, where we're Jay Ajayi have come out and Jeremy McNichols came and got a goal line carry in an important game, in a big game. Would Brock Forsey come out and they put in a really big game and they put Donnie Heck in on the goal line? Probably not in a close game, but they did that. And I thought I'd be really bummed if I was George Helani on that. And I know Bronco Nation was too. That was his carry. He deserved that carry, not only for him deserving it, but it's the best move for the team. Put the ball in the.
And I think
puppies pee on the carpet, man. Like,
I love that analogy.
I
think it was Mike Prater, your co-host, who put it on Twitter last night, but he was like, hey, like everything we heard all fall camp, all offseason from the coaches, we're seeing the complete opposite in the game.
Yeah.
And we kept hearing about we're not taking George Helani off unless we have to. And then, you're at the 2-yard line about to make it 17-7, get some momentum, and you give it to Ashton Genty. And I believe Ashton Genty is going to be a key player for this team moving forward. It sucked.
Yeah.
It was you go down the line. I mean, heck, Jonah Dulmus missed 2 field goals all of last season and missed 2 last night. Like, it was just a weird game. But you talk about the running game, Johnny, like George Helani, like the dude had 13 carries for 9 yards. 9 yards for George Helani. Like, there was one possession there where they were backed up inside their own 10-yard line. They gave it to George Helani on first down. He lost a yard. They gave it to George Helani on second down. He lost 3 yards. They gave it to George Helani on third down. He lost another yard. They were at 2nd and 18 or whatever it was, and they punted, or 4th and 18, and they punted. Like, George, it seemed like a lot of runs up the middle with George Helani as well. Like, with his speed, like, I'd like to see George Helani on some pitches, on some sweeps. Like, let's get George Helani to the outside a little more than trying to run between the tackles every single play. And again, I don't know what the
carry he gets.
Yeah. And I don't know what the Tim Plow call is. Maybe George has a chance to go outside and thinks he sees something and cuts back in. So, it's unfair for us, I guess, to 100% rip the play calling. But to me, it seems like too many runs right up the middle for George Helani. And again, it was 13 carries, I believe, for 9 yards or something like that, or 9 carries for 13 yards. It was not good for George Helani. And you had George Helani.
Yeah,
and Well, I was just going to say, Johnny, George Helani and Ashton Genty, your 2 guys, I think had 25 yards on like 17 carries. 17 carries with Ashton Genty and George Helani, 17 carries for 25 yards. I don't think anybody saw that coming going into the game.
That's why I think Taylin Green might help this offense more in the running game than a Hank. I mean, when Hank's back there on the read option, there is no option. He's going to give the ball to the back. I think you go, I'm calling it old school now, but I'm going like old school Chip Kelly, Oregon. Old school read option. A quarterback and a running back next to each other in shotgun. You run that play all the time. Tim Tebow in Florida running it, and all of a sudden you have to play for 2 guys. And maybe that opens up something for Helani. I don't think it can hurt. And to your point, not finding more creative ways to get George Helani the ball. If they can't find someone that's going to do that, then they're going to have to find another person that can do that. George Trelawney's too good of a player to bottle him up like that. And they can do better, and I hope they will for this fan base, because last night was a debacle. It was really unfortunate for this fan base. They just got their ass kicked.
It was, and I want to hear from Andy Avalos, but let's get a couple more of these comments in. Cody says, Taylin needs to start. I love Hank, but he needs to earn the spot back. Rob asking if somebody spiked Hank's Gatorade before the game. We got Stetson saying, I wonder how much separation in camp there was between Green and Bachmeier. Could this be a Rip and Cozart situation? Could this lead to Hank going to the portal before week 4 to save his eligibility? Are you any concern, I guess, about Hank transferring if you go to Green here?
I have a question on this. Now, Hank has never redshirted, correct?
Yes, he has. Technically, he has one more year left.
Yes, this year and another year. Well, if he redshirts this year, all of a sudden he has 2 more years left, right? He would have, Think about it. If Hank redshirted this year and he transfers and he doesn't know where he's going to go, he'll decide it later. Next year will become his redshirt senior year. And then 2024 would be his COVID year. So, yes, if that's where it comes to, where Hank leaves the program and gets 2 more years to play somewhere else, that's something that him and his family are going to have to decide. But I don't think it's going to come to that. But we'll see, BJ. These kids want to play. And if you're Hank Bachmeier right now, I mean, we're all human. Has your boss ever yelled at you? Have your parents ever put you in timeout? Like, have you ever been scolded or embarrassed and whatnot? You're not exactly happy with that person for a while. And I don't know in Hank's camp what he's hearing on that, but I mean, you would think that Hank's a little frustrated that Coach Avalos made that move when he did, right? As great as a team guy as Hank is, he's got to be pissed off at his coach, right?
I agree. And like I said, when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be for one drive, unless it would have been some crazy touchdown drive. The first drive that Taylin Green was in there, they punted. They got 1 first down, and then they punted. I thought, okay, you gave him his breather, you go back to Hank. But once they kept Taylin Green in there, I said, okay, Hank Bachmeier's done for the game. He's not coming back in. And, Tim says, what's the prediction for how many games Hank ultimately starts in 2022? He agrees that with me that he starts next week. Let's not forget, Johnny, New Mexico's not very good. By the way, I would hammer the -14 for next week, by the way. You got -14 for Boise State next week. Then you have UT Martin at home, and then you're at, UTEP. I don't care who you start for the next 3 games, Bachmeier or Green, you're 3-1, right?
If you're not, then wow. I don't even know what to say if you're not. But yeah.
But I wonder because of that.
With either quarterback, probably.
That's what I'm saying. So if you go back to Bachmeier, you give him some confidence. He's going to play well. He'll do well against New Mexico. You get him rolling for a couple games. But is it a false confidence if all of a sudden you go into the San Diego State game where, maybe he just, beat up on some bad teams, so to speak. But other thing is, do you give Taylin Green some confidence? Let him have 3 games to roll here going into conference play again against San Diego State and Fresno, and he's feeling good about things. So, I mean, you got Dayton saying, hey, if they go to Hank, the question is how short the leash is going to be this week. Rocky Long has to be licking his chops. Blue Elvis saying Tim Plow must go. Carter Davis says, yeah, you guys are going to play, quote, highlights from the game. Yes, there were a few. But given he wasn't in Vegas, not a captain, not on the banners, Stetson, I think, was way closer than we thought. I know this was a big Idaho sports talk. Mike Prater, Johnny Mallory, off-season topic. What's going on with Hank? Do you think there's any correlation, Johnny, with the offseason of Hank Bachmeier and the start that he had?
That feels like there's a little smoke there, but again, that's just me being the talk radio guy, jumping to conclusions. I have no evidence to support anything. It would just be an opinion, and I thought it was odd in a couple of instances where we didn't see Hank, and then does that mean he had a shorter leash? I would say no. I would say no on that, BJ. But again, I go back to, I don't know what you expect to get out of Hank. He's 7-7 in his last 14 starts. His numbers haven't been good. They've been okay. They've been fair, maybe good here and there. Nowhere close to great. And I don't know, like, you feel that with this team, what you saw last night, O-line wasn't there. Receivers aren't getting separation. Play calling, anemic. Defensive line, zero pressure on the quarterback. None. Secondary, getting beat left and right, already beat up with injuries. Hank's going to come and fix this? Like, I don't know what you expect this team to be with Hank, who's 7-7 in his last 14 starts. I don't know what the ceiling is for this team if you go back to Hank. I don't, man.
Carter Davis says Hank was the one hurting the team the most. Carter also said Avalos had to stop the bleeding. Chris says, you're right. He wanted to win the game, and Andy knew Hank couldn't do that. Derek Harris, by the way, had a good chance to catch up with him over in Portland. Good to see you, Derek. He says, had hoped the offense would grow from the Shakir will save us on third down mentality from last year, but those growing pains seemed to be very evident last night. Could not push the ball down the field at all. I mean, there were a lot of no-shows last night. Where was you and Prater's guy, Billy Bowens? Where was Billy Bowens yesterday?
He couldn't get open. A lot of guys couldn't get open, and it didn't help the fact that Hank's first pick, okay, this is what I think chapped Avalos' ass to the core, man. They have a game plan. They know what they're supposed to be doing. They pick up a nice first down. They get Tim Plowball going. We're going to go. We're going. Quick. Tempo. Hank gets to the line and just chucks one up to the right side of the field against one of the best corners in the country, okay? And he makes it nowhere close to even a 50-50 ball. Like it was just such a poor decision. Not only was a poor decision, it was a bad throw. He multiplied it. And Rajon Wright, the corner, was like, are you what? Like, it's like Hank thought that he was throwing to Wright and not the Boise State receiver. Like, it wasn't even a 50-50 ball. So I think that just that pissed Avalos off. He's burning. And then the next series, was it Bowens or was it Capel? Someone is wide open in the middle of the field.
Latrell Capels, then he overthrew Latrell Capels over the middle. He'd had a 25-yard gain. 25-yard gain. He would have caught that and run for another 10, 15 yards. We're having this is probably a record for us. Johnny, I got to say this is a record for us in terms of viewership, comments. Like, it took 6 months for BNN, but all it took was a Bachmeier benching in the second quarter for us to set all kinds of records here for I can't even, the comments are scrolling so fast on the screen from Facebook and YouTube that I can't even, I appreciate everybody doing it, so I want to try to get as many on as we can. But I mean, there's literally hundreds of comments, Johnny. Stetson says Hank should get a start. The question is, can he compete against BYU? That's now a must-win game.
That's in November, though. That's November. Let's chill, right?
Let's worry about Friday. Susan says he's been inconsistent throughout his college career. Kurt says Hank looked like he had no idea what he was doing. Carter with a rare vote of confidence for ball game, attaboy ball game. But my man's speaking facts right now, so they're loving you, Johnny. Amen, Johnny. Hank has met his ceiling. He'll never do anything better than what he has done already. But Blue Elvis saying the offense sucks with either quarterback, but we'd travel the receivers to make Hank work. The amusing game was terrible too. I guess it means run game. Green at least gives you a chance improvising with the bad plow play calling. Andy Hill says, how does a 4-year starter miss Capels over the middle that bad? Like you said, Johnny, nerves. Led him 3-4 yards, not behind him, 5-8 yards over his head. Rob Steele, as we keep rolling here, Hank just throws it up. Not going to work without Shakir. Time to move on. You know what? Actually, Taylin Green just threw it up a few times as well. Like I said, he got lucky on one. Taylin Green was.
He's not a fourth-year starter.
No, he's not
a fourth-year starter. He's not 23 years old. Like, dude, these are baby mistakes, and they're still happening. Taylin Green gets a pass on that for me. He's young. He needs to.
In one word, Johnny, and in one word for our viewers right now, and I'm taking a screenshot of this while we're here because we have a record viewership, and I want to make sure I get a picture of this. In one word, Johnny, on Friday night against New Mexico, who gives this team a better chance to win, Taylin Green or Hank Bachmeier?
Hank Bachmeier.
Okay, that's where I'm at, and the problem is I don't think a lot of fans are going to be like that. Now, again, are you talking about Friday?
Don't care. Yeah,
but are you talking about Friday? Or are you talking about the rest of this season? Or are you saying, you know what, Taylin Green's our quarterback for the future. We're looking at 2023, and that's our guy. So let's just turn the page now. Like, I don't think one game in, you're turning the page to 2023 by any means. But, the Hank Bach, that's why I put on Twitter, it was so fascinating, Johnny. Like, you didn't make that decision. Like, it's fascinating on the headset. Like, was that Tim saying, "Hey Andy, like, we might have to go to Taylin here"? Was that Andy saying? Was that Andy saying, "Hell with this, I've seen enough. Green's got to go in"? Or what? I mean,
it was all
what
Andy. It's Andy's decision. It's Andy's program, and ultimately, like, this is Andy's fault, and he knows that. It's not Tim Plow's fault. Andy hired him. Andy has enabled him. This is Andy's program. I think Andy told Coach Plow, "That's it. I'm done with them. Put Green in." And you were saying Green was warming up before Hank's fumble at the goal line. So this happened after the second interception, where I feel that Andy at least said, "Hey, Tim, warm Taylin up a little bit. We might need to use him tonight. I don't know when, but we might need to use him." And then the next play happens, and it was a fumble and a shit show, and they had to put Taylin Green in. Now, yeah, I think Hank, they're going to beat New Mexico for me regardless of who plays. But to answer your question, yeah, Hank probably gives you a better chance to beat New Mexico. But this season cannot be about beating New Mexico. Bronco Nation is losing its team. They are losing its luster. They have a coach who's 7-6. They're 7-7 in their last 14 games. No, not that. No. Correct me. Back up on that. They're 7-6 with Andy Avalos. Like, it's no longer that program that's so much fun to watch, that lights up the scoreboard. Everybody has. I mean, it's nowhere close to that. And I think maybe this year, letting Taylin Green start against a crappy New Mexico, UT Martin at home, and UTEP, those 3 games, if you let Taylin Green loose, maybe you can find certain things in this offense that Hank wouldn't be able to give you, unless you're confident that Hank's just going to be able to drop back and pick guys apart and find his receivers who couldn't get open for him last night. I don't know. The funny thing is, BJ, is the quarterback controversy masks so many other problems. We're not talking about the O-line. We're not talking about the lack of pass rush or the secondary getting beat over the top multiple times. We're not talking about the running game. Like, there's so many things. All we want to talk about is who's going to play quarterback. If this team doesn't correct all that other stuff, it won't matter. And if that is the case, and this just isn't going to be a great football team this year, maybe you go to TG10. Like I said before, I'll say it again. The 74-yard touchdown run I saw Taylin Green make last night is maybe one of only a handful of quarterbacks in this country.
Do you want to see that? Do you want to see that run, Johnny?
Cephalopoid on foot. No one does that.
You want to see that? You want to see that run?
Yeah.
This is Colin Mitchell, Bronco Nation News on the field. Here's your guy, Taylin Green. The cutback, and he's gone. Johnny, your thoughts?
Yeah, he's just gone at the 26-yard line. I mean, that's a thoroughbred athlete right there. That is who Bronco Nation wants to see. Like I said, there's only a few quarterbacks playing college football right now who make that play and take it to the freaking house on that. If that's a small sample size, if I go to Costco tomorrow, BJ, and they're giving me a sample of some really bitchin' cheese, what am I going to do? I'm going to want more of it. I'm going to go buy some of that cheese, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to eat it while I'm watching Taylin Green start for the Broncos.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Here's the other replay, by the way. Look at that cutback. He cut 2 guys, and he's gone. There's no doubt, Johnny. I'm with you. Taylin Green is obviously a physical specimen. He looks like Johnny Mallory probably did in high school from a physique standpoint. But, I mean, no one's denying that, Johnny. I mean, here's the play to Ashton Genty, by the way. He underthrew him a little bit, but he made the catch. But here you go on the next play. Here's Taylin Green again, barreling his way into the end zone. He finds a way to get into the end zone from a couple of yards out. And he had 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. So, obviously, he did some good things. And, the future is certainly bright. I don't think there's any doubt about it with Taylin Green. But for me, I wouldn't have put him in that early. It was simple as that. And we're literally over like 350 comments. I apologize, folks. We're not going to get to all of them. I think me and Johnny were talking about another night of the week doing a show. Maybe Sunday night is the if we just get Boise State to have a quarterback controversy every week, I think we'll be okay.
They will. If Hank starts on Friday, okay, and doesn't play well, like, it's going to get worse. I'm sorry, and quarterback controversies in most cases, BJ, they take place outside the building, not inside the building, right? Quarterback controversies are for the fans. They're for talk radio. They're for Bronco Nation news. It's not inside the building. But if they go back to Hank and he doesn't play well, and it's going to get worse. And you saw those. I almost want you to run those plays again. Like, Jesus H, BJ. I want to see more of that kid. I want to see more of this. I mean, the cut there and then afterburners just gone. And Oregon State's fast. Number 2 there, that's Rajon Wright. Watch him come in. He can't even come close to catching him. And that dude's going to the NFL. And Taylin Green just looked at every Oregon State player and said, I am bigger, far stronger, and faster than all you dudes. And I want to see him play a little more. But we are human. It's a tough deal. I love Hank Bachmeier, and you know that. We've known him for years. He's such a good dude. But I'm ready for TG10. I want it.
Kurt says Hank is nothing special. Bill says Mountain West Championship up in smoke. Well, no, that's not necessarily true. This game didn't matter for the Mountain West. That's the one positive, right? This game meant nothing for the Mountain West. I mean, I don't think Boise State was the favorite to win the Group of 5 bid anyway, right? To go to the Cotton Bowl. I know you were kind of mentioning that as a possibility, and sure it was. But you know what? You win the Mountain West, you go to the LA Bowl, maybe you get another chance at Oregon State again come December. I mean, who knows? But
that'd be fun. Yeah.
Another loser year. I'm not ready for this, according to Double O'Neill. Plow sucks. 3 rushes up the middle in a row. No motion, no shifts. Under center equals run. Shotgun equals pass. Obvious telegraphed play calling. Daniel says, sure, they praised Hank all offseason, but he was not a captain, not sent to media days, not on the stadium banners, etc. Daniel, we've kind of debunked that. I know that was a big topic, but there were reasons for all of that, why that all happened. I agree. Hank is a 500 quarterback. Nevin says it's New Mexico, so it will be Hank. James says, caught on TV, a coach spoke to Green the series beforehand. He nodded his head in acknowledgement. I think it was get ready. You had John Austin saying, got to figure out this coaching, all this talent, 8 months of offseason, and that's how you open a season.
Jordan, I mean, that was on the coaches, BJ. They weren't prepared, more so, in my opinion, than the players. But Hank's poor play and the offense's poor play just made it an easy decision. And I'll tell you, I think Andy Avalos, if he didn't need any more street cred with Bronco Nation, I think he got himself a hell of a lot more last night. That's what the fans wanted him to do, was pull Hank, and he did it. And I think a lot of a lot of fans in this valley now are going to maybe be a little easier on Andy if he can get this thing going. But 7-6 in his first 13 games, BJ, not what a lot of us thought Andy Avalos would bring back. It's a long season to go, though.
No doubt about it. Let's hear from Andy Avalos in a second, but I do want to remind our record viewership here. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. If you're watching on YouTube, just click that subscribe button, click that like button. We really appreciate it. As the YouTubers say, you can smash that bell button there, and we would appreciate it. We're building our YouTube channel here, all of our live shows, all of our press conferences. Tomorrow, Johnny, we'll have the live Andy Avalos, Tim Plow, Spencer Danielson press conference live on our YouTube channel tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So make sure you're following us for that. Do you want to hear from Andy Avalos, Johnny? You want to hear from Andy Avalos? Let's hear.
I watched. Yeah.
This is it's about 2 minutes. We'll just keep it short. We're talking. This is all the questions about Andy, to Andy Avalos, about Taylin Green and about Hank Bachmeier and all that went down. And let's watch it. Let's see his demeanor. Let's see his pauses between questions, and then let's come back and debate what that means moving forward here.
You obviously. We go into a game like this, we can't turn the ball over like we did. This is football, and the number one deal is ball security and taking care of the football. And especially on a road against a team like this, we can't make those mistakes. And, obviously we made an adjustment there when we weren't improving. And, Taylin got his opportunity to go in there, and we were able to adjust some things and get some drives going there. Obviously, he was able to do some things with his leg that gave the offense a little bit of a spark and was able to spread the defense out a little bit. But the bottom line is you can't turn the ball over like that, especially in those situations where, we're thrown into double coverage or overthrowing guys. So very difficult situation to start out there, but the guys, they're persistent in trying to find a way and to get ourselves back in that game late there.
What was the thought process in going to Taylin as quickly as you did?
There were 3 turnovers early on in the game.
Well, let's just stop it there for a second. I asked the question. I'm trying to be political about it. I thought about it. I'm like, okay, how do you phrase this question where you can respectfully ask the question and get a thoughtful answer other than we're playing like crap, got to make a move. And so you tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought that phrasing the question, what was the thought process in going to Taylin Green there? So what was it? Tell us through your thinking. What was the thought process going to Taylin Green there? And the answer, as you heard, was pretty short and sweet.
Or overthrowing guys. So there were 3 turnovers early on in the game.
So he looked at me like I was an idiot. He looked at me like I was an idiot, like I had no idea, like I wasn't even watching the game. Like, Raines, what the hell are you doing? There was 3 turnovers in the game, jackass. That's why we took him out.
It reminded me of the scene in Dumb and Dumber where they're standing in the Rockies and Lloyd doesn't have any gloves on. And Lloyd's like, hey, I have 2 pairs of gloves on. Why don't you take my extra pair? And Harry says, you had 2 pairs of gloves on this whole time? Lloyd looks at him, he's like, we're in the Rockies. Like, it reminded me of that. Like, BJ, yeah, there's 3 turnovers. No, but the fans don't understand this. You can't go into the press conference and be a complete and total asshole. You have to be respectful there, in my opinion, at least. And that's just kind of the way it is. And if you are a jerk, they're not going to answer your question. They're going to move on with it. There is a game that you have to play with these guys. And, we're human beings. We have a job to do. They have a job to do. Okay, we're not fans. We have a job to do. So it's a totally different ball game. I get fans hitting me up on Twitter saying, you better yell at Tim Plow. No, I'm not going to yell at Tim Plow. I'm going to ask him a couple of questions. What the hell's going on out there? And see what he gives me for an answer. Oh, I'm yelling because I'm just loud and my microphone sucks here. BJ, one thing though.
Yes.
Does Andy name a starter for Friday?
No.
Or we won't know who the starter is.
You'll have to read my tweet, man, on Friday night in Albuquerque. Bronco Nation News Twitter account. I'll make sure we put it up there when we're in the press box at the house that Brian Urlacher built on Friday night in Albuquerque, New Mexico. After I get done doing the Breaking Bad tour, get some Mexican food, and I'll let you know. Well, why would you? Why, if you're hanging at this point, like, I know it frustrates media, it frustrates coaches, but like, why would Andy Avalos come out and tell New Mexico who's starting on Friday? Like, they may make a decision before tomorrow, but I think you keep that thing as quiet and as secret as you can, because make them have to prepare for whoever else it is. I don't think you tell them. Carson says, love your content. You were mentioning Dirk Cutter. There's been a lot of talk about Matt Miller maybe potentially taking over as play calling if you had to make a change. Obviously, that's a long ways away, but they do have some options there. Right?
Prater suggested that on Bronco game night about giving Matt Miller possibly a look. He does have play calling experience before, as Prater noted last night at Montana State, in a similar situation where they removed a play caller and added Matt Miller. So he has had that. Andy and Coach Plow are going to have that conversation, and Andy's going to have to make a decision. What's in the best interest for this offense? Maybe we try someone else calling the plays. And that's a big thing in this town. I remember when Brian Harsin used to get so ticked off. It doesn't matter. Why do you always care who's calling the plays? Remember that, BJ?
Yep.
But this town really cares about the play caller, and a lot of fans do, and I get it. However, that throw that Hank made, the first interception, that's not on Plow. That was their scheme. That was a Hank read as far as I took it. In the tempo offense getting up to the line there. I don't think that was a design play call, but not that I'm bailing Tim Plow out. I like Tim Plow, but he has not been good enough as a play caller, and we all know it. and it has to get better, or Andy has to make a change, period.
No doubt about it. Thanks to rowpaint.com, our title sponsor here, Bronco Nation News. Any industrial concrete coatings, a commercial, you name it, any of your painting needs, make sure you check out rowpaint.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, I got a new pickup truck there from Lithia Ford. Really appreciate them. They do a great job. And how about this? If you don't even want to buy a vehicle from them, they'll still buy your used car. So take your used vehicle into Lithia Ford, and they'll give you a cash offer on the spot. Get more information, lithiafordboise.com. And our other major sponsor, Idaho Central Credit Union. Check them out, iccu.com, the official bank of Bronco Nation News. Trust what 500,000 Idahoans are doing. Make the switch. Online banking, it's so easy with their app, and we really appreciate them. Check them out, iccu.com. Johnny, we got a couple more comments here, but can I switch to baseball for a second? Is that okay? Can I? We've had over 55 minutes of talk about Hank Bachmeier, but can I have 30 seconds to enjoy Albert Pujols? 695.
Did he hit another? He hit another
podcast for me to just to include this in the show tonight before we get out of here, because he's my man. And 695. I know nobody else cares, but I don't care. I'm hoping he gets 700, man.
That's when baseball gets so romantic. Baseball has this romance to it. I love it as well. I know you grew up in St. Louis. I grew up in Seattle. Albert Pujols was your Griffey to me. And it's just it's magical moments on those home runs. I'm so happy that you and Cardinal fans get a chance to experience this, because I felt when you guys brought Pujols back, it was just kind of a farewell tour, tip of the cap season, but he's actually helping a playoff team right now. And who knows, maybe his last game might be a World Series game. Moreover, I saw today that the Seattle Mariners have a 99% chance to make the playoffs on September 4th. They have not made it since 2001. It's been 21 years. I was a damn teenager the last time they made it. And
let's go. Cardinals Mariners World Series. Come on.
Oh, dude. Yes.
Come on, man. But I was getting chills the first 10 seconds of that call. And not only that, it wasn't like some, like you said, Johnny, it was a 0-0 game in the 8th inning, by the way. That was a 0-0 game in the 8th inning. I did see somebody on a pinch hit, too, by Logan there. Somebody did say, Cardinals news, I'm out. It's good for you. Dahl did say, just subscribe to BNN. Love what you're doing. Appreciate that, Dahl Dyer. Thank you very much. How about Greg McElroy? He's obviously free, is what James McDonald is saying. Well, there's another James. My gosh, he crushed that. Karen Rains, fly the L. The Cubs like to fly that W when they win, but as my wife says, fly the L today because the Cubbies lost. Curtis says, card stuff, I'm out. Let's see what else we got here. Go, Albert. Hey, there you go. Yes, sir.
Hey, BJ.
Yes, sir. By the way, I was just going to say, the Cardinals, random, non-BSU stuff, maybe we could make something of that. Maybe there's another night of the week we could come up with something where we don't just talk BSU. Is that crazy to me to think about?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think your audience is here for Bronco Nation stuff. But I loved how the play-by-play broadcaster on that home run call threw in the factoid. In his last at-bat against the Cubs, he goes deep. I mean, that's why baseball is romantic, BJ, because Albert has played the Cubs so many times on such a nasty rivalry, and on his last at-bat versus the Cubs. See ya! Smell you later, Mr. Rawlings.
I'm not gonna lie. I probably watched that 100 times today because Danny Mac certainly got into it. Can Albert play quarterback? Is what Bill wants to know. Don't jinx the Mariners, according to Drew. Stetson says go Mariners. Doubles of college football. Drew says, yeah, we care. Let's see 700. And by the way, Johnny, 2 weeks from this week, I am heading to San Diego. I changed my flight before the UTEP game. What do you think, man? Do I have a chance at 700? 700 homers. Where would that rank to be in person to see Albert Pujols at 700 homers? And if I'm in attendance at Petco Park, where would that? Is that a big deal?
He needs one bomb a week, essentially, right?
It's a little more. Let me see how many games they have left. It's a little more than that, I think. I think they got about 14, 15 games left, I think, and he needs 5. So probably not doable. Not doable.
But when you get to San Diego, maybe if you can just see one of them. I mean, to be honest, it's
they got 16 games. They got 16 games before I get there.
Remember Remember Jay Tust at the media? We were at the media press conference with Tust the other week, and he's like, you know what? I want him to finish at 699.
And what was the? We were actually having a fun time about that, talking about what was the movie? What's the movie with Bernie Mac?
Mr. 3000. Yeah, Jay. I want him to finish at 699.
I was looking for a provision in his contract to cancel it on the spot there, but I wasn't able to. Let's wrap this up, Johnny. We got like literally thousands of comments. I'm sorry I couldn't get to them all. Even Trevor, as a Cubs fan, hope he hits 700. There you go. Appreciate that, nice. Trevor. But Johnny, what's kind of how do you sum this up? Your final thoughts? I will say I do not expect tomorrow a quarterback to be named by Andy Avalos. I just don't. If you now have this to your advantage, you might as well let this roll into Friday. And as I said, I'll be there on Friday in Albuquerque to, the Bronco Nation News Report on KTIK at 4:00 or whatever. I guess we have to move it probably because of the pregame show, right? Maybe Thursday this week, but we'll be in Albuquerque. We'll have the full update, but I think let's put it this way. It should be Hank Bachmeier. I think Hank Bachmeier, you can read my story on BroncoNationNews.com. We've been talking about it for an hour, but I think Hank Bachmeier, 4 years, 26 career starts, all that he's done for this program, I think Hank Bachmeier deserves to start against New Mexico. Now, I'm not saying he deserves to start 12 games. I'm not saying no matter what, he's your quarterback for the rest of the season. I think Hank Bachmeier deserves another chance to try and hold on to his starting quarterback job. I thought he got benched too early. He deserves it. And for me, he needs to start Friday against New Mexico, because I'll tell you what, if Taylin Green starts Friday against New Mexico, Hank Bachmeier is done for the year. Maybe he transfers. Maybe he just pouts on the bench. Maybe he's a great teammate the rest of the season. Whatever works. But
I think he would be.
I'll tell you what, I saw Mr. Bachmeier, Hank Bachmeier's dad, after the game. We just got done doing the interviews. Everybody's boarding the bus. The players are out there talking to family. And Mr. Bachmeier's there in his sport coat and his nice slacks and his shirt, and he's kind of standing there by himself. And he kind of looked a little dejected. And I went over and shook his hand and chatted with him for a minute and said, it's got to be tough right now. Have you talked to Hank? How's he doing? And he said, understandably, he's disappointed, but, it's a long season. We'll see what happens. Obviously, he's staying upbeat. But if you're, April Bachmeier or Mr. Bachmeier, this has got to be tough for you. You go into this year thinking your son's going to be a 4-year starter. You want to play in the NFL next year, have a huge year, and then the second quarter of the first game, see ya, you're out of there. To me, it was just a little bit of a surprise. So for me, for Hank Bachmeier, for his family, for this kid, for everything, yes, Taylin Green is your quarterback of the future, but Friday night, Hank Bachmeier needs to be the starter.
And I've met Hank's parents, or they're nice people, and I'm feeling for the Bachmeier family. That's a very proud family, and they're good people. And as disappointed as the Bachmeiers are, the Green family is that much more excited, right? Mr. and Mrs. Green, Taylin Green's parents, his family, they're this much excited. They're this level of excitement they have, because they think maybe Taylin's going to get his shot a little earlier than maybe they were expecting. And for me, I'm with you. Andy Avalos is not going to say anything tomorrow except we're in a quarterback competition. What he told you last night in the press conference that I watched on BNN. This is a quarterback competition. This competition is going to go all week. So he's not going to name a starter. He shouldn't name a starter. Like you said, if this is a poker game, you're sitting on your hand, don't show what your cards are. No way. So play that to your advantage. Ultimately, I think it's going to be Taylin Green. He showed me enough where I want to see what this show is going to continue to show me. Now, I know there's going to be mega bumps and bruises because he's a kid and he's going to have really bad games. But you kind of got to ride that out for me. And for me, I think it's going to be Taylin Green. They'll probably both play. I don't know. But Taylin Green left a taste in my mouth that I want more of, BJ. I want to see what this kid can do. And now all of a sudden, BJ, I don't want to wait until week 1 of 23 to see the kid. I want to see Taylin Green this year. I really feel for Hank. And if he does get an opportunity, I expect Hank to be a total pro the whole way. And if he gets benched, he's going to wait for his opportunity. If he gets another, he's going to come back and he's going to try to play the best he's ever had. I don't think Hank's a sulker, a pouter. Oh, we're leaving the program now. I know a lot of kids do that now. I don't see that with Hank, but like we talked about before, Hank could redshirt this year. He has never redshirted. He could redshirt this year and have 2 more years of eligibility. His redshirt senior year and his COVID year.
His
So
kids, his brother's going to Stanford, right? His brother is committed to Stanford.
Stanford usually doesn't have a lot of people transfer in. I'm not sure what happens. And to answer the question on Vidlak, yes, I think Vidlak is a possibility. I think Andy Avalos right now in this offense, everything is a possibility. Yeah, I wouldn't eliminate anybody.
Bill, we appreciate you. Says, give these guys some likes, everybody. Clifton says, Hank starts with a short leash. You got Taylin is taking a lot of hard hits. Oh, I guess Hank is taking a lot of hard hits. Agreed. They want Green. We got more people wanting Green. Everybody's calling for Green. Bradley says Green. Green all the way. Honestly, they should play both. That's BS. He's already had 4 years to prove he's the guy. Every single year and every single game, Hank has gotten worse and worse. Yes,
hey,
play
PJ,
both.
Play the run again. Play the run again. 74-yarder. Play it again. Play it again.
I would rather play the Pujols home run, but I'll show you the Taylin. I'll play the Taylin Green run here. There you go. Give us some commentary here. There's one cut. There's two. Let's show it again.
A play that only a few quarterbacks in America can make right now on foot. And Boise State has one that was all move and react. And there's plenty more where this came from. I say, I want to see what this kid can do moving forward. And, look at that. Thoroughbred.
And if you look at the TV broadcast on the next replay here, Johnny, that's coming, it wasn't like he got out to the outside and he was gone. There was a couple defenders that still had a chance to catch him. Let's not forget, he's the second fastest player on the entire team behind Austin Bolt. Watch this right here on the TV broadcast. There's still a lot of guys that have a chance to get to him, and boom. One.
Look at number two. Look at number two.
Three,
that's Rajon Wright.
Four guys. Four defenders. I want to watch that TV replay again. 4 defenders. I'm going to pause it because, okay, here you go. There's one, number 5. Oops, I hit the wrong button there. There were 4 guys that had a chance, Johnny. 4 of the 11 defenders.
That's Bo Jackson in the Kingdome, 1987, man.
There's number 5. There's number 5 right there. He's got a chance at him. Nope, he doesn't get him. There's 55. Nope. Here comes 28 and 2, right? 28 and 2. Look at that. 28 and 2 on the right side of the screen. They both have it. Nope. And, there's number 3. Nope, you don't have a chance either. Wow. But, as I said, I still don't.
I want to see more of this.
Well, I'd like to see more of that. I would just rather not see Ashton Genty fumble in the football down at the 2-yard line. But everybody says Oregon State chainsaw. Did you hear that on TV, by the way? The chainsaw they kept playing on 3rd down.
Oh, yeah.
Could you hear that through the TV broadcast there? That was Green.
And now it's even louder. Now it's louder because half the stadium there is gone. I've been to a lot of Beaver games, BJ, and you don't hear the chainsaw as much when the stadium's full. So you heard it even louder. And, that's what they do there. And Beaver Nation loves it, man.
By the way, a little news, Bronco Nation news. I put this on Twitter earlier today, Johnny, but my sources are telling me exclusively Bronco Nation news report. Unfortunately, it's bad news for 2 Boise State players. Austin Bolt, I've confirmed that he already had the surgery this morning, a clean break of his lower left leg, complete break. It was ugly. It looked ugly, and it was a broken left leg for Austin Bolt. Had surgery this morning. Austin Bolt is, in fact, done for the season, according to my sources. We'll see if Andy Avalos touches on that tomorrow. And then I've also heard Johnny Markel Reed, starting DB, has already had an ACL tear, has had a shoulder injury, a lot of issues. His good knee now, I'm hearing, is also a torn ACL on his good knee. He had a brace on there on the sidelines, but Markel Reed, I'm hearing, also done for the season for Boise State. So Austin Bolt, Markel Reed, one starter, another guy that was supposed to contribute a lot this season, kind of added insult to with injury there at the end of the game yesterday, Johnny.
Such a tough. I feel so bad for both kids, and seeing Markel Reed just bawling as he should be, as we all would be, getting taken off the cart there and what he's had to come back through. I know you detailed it greatly. Austin Bolt, man, how about this? He gets a medical red shirt this year. Does that mean he comes back next year as a 4th-year freshman? 2020 was his COVID year. Didn't count. Last year was his red shirt year? Did he redshirt last year? Did he only play in 4 games? Because he's listed as a redshirt freshman right now, right?
I believe,
so
yes.
He gets this year back. So next year, if he gets the medical, he'll be a redshirt freshman again, but it'll be his 4th year with the program. He'll be a 4th-year freshman. Man, that's going to be interesting, is to see what happens with both those guys, if they're back or not. Kids transfer all the time now. Who knows? But yeah, that's just those are tough deals for Boise State, because those are great kids, man. And I was really hoping not only Bolt but Reed, they both have good years. And this team is not as good today as it was yesterday, because Markel Reed and Austin Bolt are out.
Yep, and as we wrap it up here, Double O'Neill says, thanks for the show. Can't get any Boise State talk anywhere else. Rich Collins says, thanks for taking the time out of your Sunday to bring us this great show. I'll throw a shameless plug in there one final time. We got about a couple of these subscriptions left, Johnny. Pro Image gift store. So, Johnny, if you want your Seahawks hat, your Seahawks jersey, you don't have to get Boise State stuff. This is a $25 gift card to Pro Image or the Blue and Orange store, and I will give folks one of those. And I'll even throw in a free round of golf at Timberstone Golf Course if you sign up for a 1-year subscription to Bronco Nation News. The subscription pays for itself, Johnny, with those 2 gift cards right there. So hopefully folks enjoyed the show tonight. I got to pay Johnny's big salary here at Bronco Nation News. So help us out, buy a subscription, and we'd really appreciate it. So hopefully you enjoyed it. How about Perry? We had our little event the other day, Johnny, at Sky High Brewing the night before the game, and any subscriber that showed up, I bought their first beer. So Perry showed up, and I said, he said, thanks for the beer.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Boise State fan and you have the means, I highly recommend subscribing to Bronco Nation. It's a few bucks here and there. And
appreciate you, man.
And there's a lot of cool things that you're doing. I mean, oh my God, did he miss the extra point?
What happened?
Wow.
What happened?
LSU scored on the last play of the game to tie it, and all they had to do was kick the extra point, and I think the kid missed it. Or they went for 2 and missed. The TV's on, but wow, what a game. College football's back, baby.
They're saying it's blocked. They're saying it was blocked. It was blocked. It was blocked, according to Brandon.
Thank you.
But Vincent Bailey chiming in.
Wow.
Those perks are awesome. So appreciate it. And if you're on the fence, hopefully you'll subscribe, help us out here. And Johnny, we may have another announcement in the next couple of days if we can come to an agreement on some negotiations here. Me and Johnny are working on something cool for maybe another show we're going to add to the works. We'll see here in the next couple of days if we can make it work. But Johnny, appreciate your time on a what is this, Sunday night? They're tomahawk chopping as the game is going to end there. But John Mallory, you can hear him. No show tomorrow, right? You're off tomorrow. We got you tonight, so you'll be on Tuesday with Mike Prater. But tomorrow, Andy Avalos will meet with the media, and again, we'll have that live Bronco Nation News social media channels, 1 o'clock. Andy Avalos tomorrow. We'll see if he announces the starting quarterback. And again, you can subscribe.
So will Danielson and Plow, BJ. The coordinators are talking tomorrow too, and I have a feeling Bronco Nation wants to hear from Tim Plow as much as they want to hear from Andy Avalos, man.
I want to know whose decision it was. And you're saying it's Avalos, right? You're saying Avalos. I want to hear, was it Tim Plow? Yeah. Was it Andy Avalos? Who made the decision to pull Hank Bachmeier? Maybe we'll find out tomorrow. And again, make sure you're subscribing to that YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your Sunday night. We appreciate everybody for checking us out. Thank you to John Mallory for giving up over an hour of his time. Don't ever tell me you got time to go a while, Johnny, or I'll take advantage of you on that, which he did. So we appreciate it. And we'll talk to you. No show tomorrow. This was in place of the morning show tomorrow. We'll have the Andy Avalos presser at 1, and then Jay Tuss and I will be back on Tuesday. But it's Keaton saying, thanks, guys. Great stuff. Have a great rest of your Sunday evening. We'll talk to you later. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.